Welcome to Quilting with Carla. This video is about making the quilt that you see behind me. It's called Square Dance on Point. It's made with a whole bunch of quarter square triangles using the shortcut sheet method. And there are some half square triangles as well. So if you're not familiar with shortcut sheet methods, you can go to kitsbycarla.com. All the information is there. This is one of our patterns. The branding on the pattern at the bottom corner tells you which techniques are highlighted in our patterns. Just so you know, the patterns are totally standalone. You don't need the shortcut sheet technique to make the pattern. It will describe exactly what you need to do for the sizes of units that are in this particular quilt. The shortcut sheet itself will give you multiple sizes, so all the calculations have been done for you. Something else I'd like to point out, I'm using V2 of this pattern. It's on the bottom corner where the barcode is on the back. If you happen to have one that doesn't say V2, send me an email and I'll send you the correct version. There's minor changes, there's clarifications, there's more labeling on the graphics. It's a little easier to follow, so I would certainly be very happy to send you the latest version. So let's get started. So here it is, the pattern for Square Dance on Point. You hopefully will be able to get one of these. Just go to kitsbycarla.com. If you order the pattern, it's $10. We'll ship you the actual pattern, so you'll have the paper version, but I will also at the same time send you a PDF so you can actually get started as you follow these videos. As I mentioned earlier, we're doing it by step. So I'm opening up the pattern. My first step one says to cut the fabric. Clearly before I cut the fabric, I have to make sure I choose my fabric. So on the front cover, you'll see how many yards of each of the 6 fabrics. And it's okay to use, when it says 2 yards, it's okay to have 2 pieces 1 yard each. More and more places are selling fabric pre-cut in 1 yards, as we do in our booth when we do shows. So buying 1 yard or 2 yards already cut doesn't really matter. So I have my colors matching very closely to what's on the pattern. You'll see sort of a turquoise, sort of a very light color, a greenish, a lighter green, a purple, and a light blue. These are lettered A to F with 2 yards, A, B, C, 1 yard of D, 2 yards of E, and 1 yard of F. So now when I go inside, I'm going to cut the fabric in the order that I'm telling you to do. So this is the pattern I'm following it word for word. So I may actually stumble somewhere and find a mistake. That's a good thing. I haven't actually made this pattern. I've made these units many times. So this is my making of the pattern while I'm teaching you how to do it at the same time. The first QST, that's a quarter square triangle. There are 2 sections to the quarter square triangle, so we're cutting fabric for part 1 and also for part 2. Then we're going to cut for the HSTs, those are the half square triangles, the stripe border, the sides, the corners, and then the outside corners. So let me put this where I can see it. QST part 1 from fabric A through F, I'm cutting the same on all of them. Because of that, I'm going to stack my fabric. I like to cut 3 fabrics at the same time. Now I'm working in the RV, so I don't have a lot of space. I don't generally cut in this direction, but I will because that's what I have to do here. So I could press my fabric. In fact, the iron is right behind me, so I may just turn it around and press it a little bit. I just want to get the creases out of it so that it'll cut straight, especially when I'm stacking. What I'm cutting are 10 inches by width of fabric, and I'm doing 3 fabrics at the same time. So I need to open up my full yard, take my 3 fabrics, A, B, and C. I don't have to be too careful in lining these up, only because I'm also then going to cut 3 yard strips from the 10-inch piece. So I don't need my full width of fabric right now. So my first cut is full width of fabric, but my next cuts will be along the length. So that's why it's going to be a lot easier to do. So I just sort of roughly line them up so that they're, whoops, I got extra layers of that one, don't want that. when I have a bigger cutting area, I certainly have a lot more space to organize this a little easier. Let me try it sideways and see if that works. I'm just sort of roughly lining them up. Again, because I'm in the RV, I have to cut at an awkward direction. But here we go here. Oh, I wanted to just tell you I'm putting the timer on start, so that each step I'll sort of give you a time on how long it takes me to do it. That gives you kind of a ballpark on how, as you get better at these shortcut sheet techniques, how much you're going to be able to do yourself. First thing I want to do is square off the bottom. I'm just lining it up with a 1/4 inch and cutting. Next, I need to cut 10 inches. $10 inches, I'm going to use the grid, which means I need to slide my fabric down to 0. I'll use the cutting mat grid, and 10 inches, nothing behind. Line that up. And cut. My next instruction says from these pieces to cut 3 inch. So now I'm going to use my ruler to get that 3 inches. First I'm going to square, is this my fold? No, I want to start from, not from the fold, but from my open ends. Again, line them up. They don't have to be exact because the 10-inch measurement gives you extra. So first square off the bottom. Now I'm going to use one of the lines on the outer edge to make sure I'm getting a straight. I can also line it up on the grid of my cutting mat, the side. There we go. So that when I just square out the bottom, I'm going to get proper 3-inch dimensions. Now I'm using this is a creative grid, so it has an extra 1/2 inch. I don't want that side. I just want the side that shows me a nice clean 3-inch measurement. So what I'm cutting are 3 inches by 30 strips. So I'll keep going. So here's the first 2 strips, because this is a folded fabric, of course, so I've got 2 of each. And then keep cutting. 3 inches. You're using this for the 1/4 square triangles. You do want to be very accurate with your 3-inch measurement. So I've done that 3 times. That gives me 6 of each. So I make sure I have enough. All fabric is different widths, so I might think I'm going to get a certain number out of the width of fabric, but it's not always like that. 4, which is actually 8, of course. And there's 10. 12. Looks like I'm not going to have enough. Let me see what that's doing. This gives me 14 of these. Oh, that's right. I only needed 10 of them. Okay, I'm looking at the wrong line. That's fine. There's going to be extra fabric. So all I need is 3 by 10 inch strips. I need a total of 15. I actually have 14 because I cut an extra 2 out. So I just need to cut 1 more 3-inch strip from the width of fabric on the same fabrics. Same 3 fabrics. I'm going to cut another. Let me just press this out. 10 from the 30-inch, the 10-inch piece, and then it's the total of 15 is what I need. So I need 15 3 by 10 inch strips. That's the total that I need. So let's just cut another I'm going to have to square off the bottom again because I want to make sure that it's a straight cut. Line it up on the grid. Square the bottom. Go a little bit higher. You know, it's a little more awkward when you're working a small cutting mat in a small space. But, you know, the choice is either be here and do this or be in Vermont with the snow and the ice. Well, I think I'll put up with the inconvenience. I don't know what you think, but that's what I would do. And now another 3-inch strip. And then 10. I use a small ruler from time to time just because it's convenient and I happen to have it. If you don't, you just need your 24-inch quilting ruler and you probably would do it with a lot more space. And I need to cut another 10-inch pieces. We're actually getting an extra 2 in there, so I actually have 16, which doesn't really matter. Now, what I'm going to do is take these, put them aside. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I need to do the same with the next 3 fabrics. I've only done A, B, and C. I keep a bunch of these little tiny pieces of paper, and I can mark, keep my things organized by saying what everything is for. So this particular case is going to be QST, so I know what it's for. It's A, B, and C, and these pieces are 3 inches by 10, and I have a total of 12 of each. And I'll just put a clip on this and just put it to the side, because you know, phone rings, things happen, you get interrupted, and then you forget what's what. I'm going to put this aside and do the next 3 colors. This is scrap. I'm not going to scrap it because it will be used later. Let me fold and put these fabrics away, and then take the next 3 fabrics. If your fabrics don't quite match the colors that are on the pattern and you've decided with a different colorway, that's fine. You just may want to put a little scrap of each of your choices. Just glue them right on the pattern over A, B, C, D, E, and F, so that when you see a reference to a letter, you'll know what your fabric is going to be. As much as possible, I like to match the colors of the pattern when I'm making it. Only because I happen to like them, but also it's easier to make when you can match the colors to the pictures. And now take the next 3 colors and repeat the same thing. So I keep my fabrics in order. I'm going to take this fabric here, which is D, open up the yard, give it a quick press. Some of you like to use some kind of a starch, like a best press. I suggest that if you do like to use it, you use it now before you cut anything, and then don't use it again until your blocks are done. Anything that has water in it is going to cause some stretch. So you don't want to be stretching your strips after you've sewn them. Then you lose all the accuracy of your cutting and your dimensions. I'm not too fussy with the pressing. It doesn't need it, I just want to make sure it's flat. If I had a really wrinkled piece, yes, then I would certainly take a lot more time to get rid of the big creases. Anything that's going to interfere with my strips on my, before I cut my rows, it's going to make a huge difference. So I need to be precise with that. I just put these together, line up the sides. Get used to working in this space. Now remember, first I'm going to get a clean edge on the bottom, which means my side seams, where my fold is on my folded fabric, goes on the 0 line. Make sure it's flat And that way I can square off the bottom before I get started. Get a clean cut. Again, I'm working in an awkward space. You certainly wouldn't cut yours this way. Just try to make sure that I don't move it when I cut it. Nice sharp blade. I happen to like this one. It's the Fiskars 60mm. It's the titanium blade, so I don't have to change it as often as others.